The love of God inside us. And while I was thinking about that, I was thinking about Evan either said in a talk or told me one time that his spiritual practice is to just lay on his back with his arms outstretched and just accept love. And I think that's why he is such the amazing person that he is, because he truly is connected to that core of his being and the inner core. And so he's an inspiration to us all. So anyways, that is what we need to remember, and that's kind of what I'd like to talk about today, is that whole concept. And you know, this is the third Sunday of Advent, and Advent means coming, and that's what it's celebrated for. And so it's celebrated in many different ways, but in the Christian perspective, or the traditional perspective, is it's the physical nativity in Bethlehem. And so a lot of people are celebrating the historic, specific birth of Christ in Bethlehem many, many years ago. But in Unity here, we celebrate the metaphysical reception of Christ in the heart of the believer. So that is much more meaningful to us, and that's why I've always loved Unity over the traditional Christians, because we're not just thinking about something historically, something long ago, something far away, something not really connected to us. We celebrate the birth of Christ within us now. We celebrate what is happening now. We celebrate what is happening inside of us. And so Christ is the Spirit of God in us, and that's what we celebrate, the divine inside of us. And our real purpose in life is to give birth to the best which is within us. We're trying to come together and figure out what's inside of us. So, you know, one of the things that I, as you're doing a talk, you're looking up things and everything, and a lot of the literature out there is saying that Jesus was born on October 6th, 6 BC, which is a very specific date. But, you know, I think about that too. It's like, so actually Christ was born before Christ, because he was born before Christ, 6 BC. So I was thinking, that we're actually truly celebrating the birth of the Christ within, because the physical birth already happened. So it's kind of like the jokes on the fundamental Christians, because they don't know it yet. But anyway, so we do celebrate our physical birth, but Christmas is the time to remember the birth of the Christ within us, our birth that we've all experienced, that we're all going through, and that's kind of why we're here. So metaphysically, Christmas can be thought of like this. Christmas is a symbol of change. The meaning of Christmas is the birth of a new self, mothered by our humanness and fathered by our spirit. Mary symbolizes the feminine within us all, who is impregnated with spirit. Her function, our function, is to say, yes, I will receive. I will not abort this process. I accept with humility my holy function. The child born from this mystical conception is a Christ within us all. And that is our purpose in life, to, just as Mary did, to accept the Christ within us, to accept that which is happening to us, to accept that we're way more than just our outside and our body and this place on earth. We're the receptacle, we're the housing of God, and Christ is within us. So the birth of Christ is the beginning of the inner realms of consciousness, the dawning in yourself that the inner you is the real you, the journey, the return to love. And that's what we're celebrating, is the birth of Christ and how we got there. So we're born from love. We came from love. God is love. We have been created in his image. We're the embodiment of the mystical Christ, the divine light. We are the essence of the divine. But how soon we forget. We feel that we are born into a cold, hard world where all of our needs must be met by others. Well, that's rather dramatic, but that's kind of how it starts. So this is our first experience of love. Someone loving us. That's our first experience, and hopefully, but probably imperfectly, but we learn to receive love first before we get it. And so we come to expect that our needs are going to be met, that we expect that people are going to be bringing things to us so that we can feel loved and that we can feel good about ourselves. It's that kind of love that comes from the outside and makes us feel good on the inside. It's very immature sort of love. So here on earth, we are shaped from the outside, and sometimes we get the wrong message. We interpret things based on faulty perception. We're shaped by less than perfect parents and difficult situations. We're taught to think thoughts about competition, struggle, sickness, finite resources, limitation, guilt, death, scarcity, and loss. And these are the things that the world teaches us from the very beginning. Love is what we were born with. Fear is what we learned here. So as we grow from infancy to childhood to youth, we want more and more things to make us whole. And we're looking at that from the outside. We're looking at things to come into our lives to make us feel like a complete person and feel whole in everything. Marianne Williamson described it in her book, Return to Love. I sank deeper and deeper into my own neurotic patterns, seeking relief in food, drugs, people, or whatever else I could find to distract me from myself. And it's, I felt just like her. I didn't want to say that. It was better coming from her, you know what I mean? So it's like, but that's just that was the story of, that was really the story of my life too. Just looking for something to make me feel like a whole person. And, at some point, like in my life, it just became uncomfortable to be me, uncomfortable to be in my own skin. And I remember when I lived in Dallas, there was a guy that, I was in AA back then, but, he would always say, he'd sit there and says, I'm comfortable in my own skin. And I'd be, I hate you, Joe Hartman. You know what I mean? But it was like, I didn't realize it then, but that made me so uncomfortable because I wasn't comfortable in my own skin. So every time he said that, it just reminded me of where I was. And I hated him for that. But anyways, but not really. It's that sort of thing that prompts us to move forward. At that point of thing, we have to be uncomfortable where we're at or we're never going to move. We have to have something that prods us to move farther and to dig deeper and all that kind of stuff. And so we spend those years, looking for love, trying to find love outside of ourselves, but not just from people, but from things and situation and money and status and power, whatever we think that we can get to make us feel whole again as we go searching for in our life. And it's kind of sad, really, and even the kids I say that work for me now, it's like they're all about that, the cars, the this, or that, or the other, and I just want to look at them, it's like, you guys just don't know. Pretty soon you're going to realize it all means nothing. So anyways, we start feeling this prodding inside of ourselves, and the Course in Miracles talks about a cry for love. And that cry for love is any bad behavior, and we all exhibit it, we all see it in other people, but it stems from the perceived lack of love or a feeling of separation from the source of love, God, and is therefore a call for help to be brought back into that loving state. And that's how we feel when we feel separate. When we don't feel the love inside of ourselves, we express it outwardly. Because we're all yearning to be loved. But we're all trying to get love to come from the outside and fill up our inside. And we just try so hard. And then one day we realize it's really the other way around. Love comes from the inside. It starts with us. And that's really why most of us are here. At some point, at some level, we came to a place where we recognize that there was something deeper. And at that point, we no longer look outside of ourselves for love. We turn within. And at that point, that is the birth of the Christ consciousness. That is the birth. That is when we start to recognize that there's something more, and that something more is inside of ourselves. And what do we find there? We find love. Pure, warm, brilliant light and love. It was there all along. We just got lost along the way. And so we come here to Unity where we can find other people to support us on our journey. It's that journey within, the journey to the center of heaven. The Course in Miracles says, this is the voice of truth, replacing everything that the ego tells you about yourself with this simple truth. You were created by love like itself. You were created by love like itself. We are born in God's image. We are the image of God, and that's who it is love. And so we must come to recognize our divine nature, that at our core is the infinite love of the universe, God's love embodied in us, or God's love showing up as us. God only exists through his creations. I am the place where God shows up. So if you're looking for God to magically or mystically appear in your life, I think that you will be disappointed. But you can find God, you can see God within yourself. I know he's in there. It's kind of like that meme, I found Jesus. He was behind the couch the whole time. No. But that's kind of our story. He was within us. We look and look and look, and he was within us the whole time. We did not have to go far. We did not have to go anywhere. God is within us, and that's where we find him. We're not looking for a Savior. We don't need a Savior. We only need to remember who we are, the embodiment of Christ. We must recognize that we are whole and complete and enfolded in God's love. Whether we are alone in a room full of strangers or alone by ourselves, we must remember and recognize our true nature, our divinity. Love is within us. It cannot be destroyed. It can only be hidden. And so as we go through life, it's been hidden by our fears, our coveting, our efforts to control. It's been hidden by the way we show up in life, by trying to get things to come into ourselves, to come to us. The Course in Miracles says that love is beyond what can be taught. The Course in Miracles does not aim at teaching the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught. It does aim, however, at removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. So we go through life, our job is to relinquish our thought system that was built on fear, and we need to learn to live from the thought system based on love. It is through the power of love that we heal ourselves and the world, but we cannot heal the world without healing ourselves first. We owe it to the world to heal ourselves, to find the light and love within so that we can bring it forth into the world. The only way to heal the wounds of the past ultimately is to forgive them and let them go. And we must forgive. We must quit dragging the past along. Do you want to live in eternity? Live in the present moment. The present moment never ends. It lasts for eternity. It is only in this moment that we can find God, connect to the divine spirit within. We can't drag God into the past, and we can't drag God into the future. We go there alone. But we live in eternity now, in every present moment. And in that moment is where we can find God and discover the truth of our being, the love that's inside of ourselves. Love is the essential existential fact. It is our ultimate reality and our purpose on earth. Who have I come here to be? To be consciously aware of love, to experience love in ourselves and others, this is where you will find the meaning of life. It is only through our personal awakening that the world can be awakened. We must abide in love, live in love, to continually dwell in the consciousness of love, in the consciousness of perfect ideals. When we abide in love, live in love, we can share the love that we have inside with each other. The only thing lacking in any situation is what we are not giving, love. Our only responsibility in any situation is to let go of our resistance to love. Our pain doesn't come from the love that we weren't given in the past, but by the love that we ourselves are not giving in the present. Pain doesn't stem from the love that we were denied by others, only by the love that we deny them. What we give others, we give to ourselves. What we withhold from others, we withhold from ourselves. So why are we hurting ourselves? You know, I think that was one of the concepts, and I've heard it before, but it is. When we hurt ourselves by not loving, we hurt ourselves by not bringing forth goodness to the world. We hurt ourselves by denying the things that we so desperately desire. Charles Fillmore said this: love is an inner quality that sees good everywhere and in everybody. It insists that all is good, and by refusing to see anything but good, it causes that quality finally to appear uppermost in itself and in all things. Love is a pure essence of being that binds together the whole human family. The world changes when we change. The world softens when we soften. The world loves us when we choose to love the world. As always, we get what we give. But love must be lived, and it must be lived from the inside out. We can't just stop at the point of accepting love like a child. That's an immature form of love. We have to continue on to the point of giving love. And we can only give love to the extent that we feel that inner love that comes from the Christ light within us. The Christ light is the divine image that we have created. That's the image of God. It's not about our outsides, our shell. It's about the inside. We must respond with love to every situation. And we can only respond with what's inside of us, or what we can connect with. Our essence is of love. But if we don't live from that reality, we are not bringing love to the world. We can easily respond with love, whether it's a kind word or an understanding smile. Each little action sends the healing power of love. It can only come from us. We must remember, I am the place where God shows up. We are the embodiment of God, of love, created in the image of God. As you respond with love, love will return to you multiplied abundantly. So the Christ is born in us this Christmas season. It's born in us. It's just a reminder that it's born in us this Christmas season. It's born in us every day and in every way. We too, like Jesus, are God's love made manifest. We are God's showing up in the world. We are God showing up as us. And embodying and expressing that truth is not only our gift to the world, but our gift to ourselves. If we withhold love from the world, we withhold it from ourselves. Love is seeking to be expressed in our life. God is pushing us to get that out of us. No matter what happens, love's radiant light will continue to illuminate our hearts. Just how much are we hiding? How much are we refusing to let shine? It is our duty and our obligation to the world and their fellows to let our love shine, to bring forth God's love into the world. The love that is in me has its origin in the heart of God. As a divine being, this love is part of me and mine to share, my responsibility to share. So the meaning of Christmas is the birth of a new self, the Christ within us all. It's the time that we recognize that imperfectly or however we are trying to connect to that being the essence of our being, the Christ light within, the love that's within us all. In the Bible it says the kingdom of heaven is within you. The word within is unnecessary. The kingdom of heaven is you. And that's what we recognize today. So, thank you. So, yeah, whatever. So, kind of short.